Ochoa, and and alongside me. Oh man, this sounds so bad on the headphones. Anyways, I'll have to deal with it. So, welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. We're in episode number 28 already. And joining us today is, like always, our co-host, Jacob Young. How are you doing, Jacob?
Doing well. Looking forward to talk some soccer. I know that there's been a ton this week, and of course, still looking forward to Saturday's game as well.
Definitely, and also it helps with yesterday's results, a positive results. You know, it's something that we as fans have been waiting for so long. You know, in order to get, and yes, it might have been a friendly, but you know, we'll take whatever we can at this moment. And but before we talk about that match, or we go any further, I do want to give a big shout out to our friends at the Beautiful Game Network. So be sure to follow them on their social media. Follow them on Twitter and on Facebook at the BGNFM. Be sure to also, while you're there, at their website, which is www.bgn.fm. Be sure to also check out not only our podcast but other USL podcasts as well. Check out our website at downintheRGV.com. And, of course, be sure to check out BGNFM's sponsor, which is Roughneck Scarves, at their website, www.roughneckscarves.com. They're the official scarf supplier of the MLS and the USL. And I think that's pretty much it for now. So let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty. Blues fan or whoever's out there, please, can you let me know how the audio is right now on your end, if everything is fine. But let's go on. And last Saturday, the Toros hosted the last place team of the USL. We had a lot of high hopes. Excellent. We had a lot of high hopes for this match. We felt that it would have been the perfect opportunity to turn things around for the Toros when it comes to their really long spell of bad results. But match time came on, and I just felt a lot more of the same in regards to the performance of this team.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, considering the fact that it seemed a bit different. As in, I could tell that this team wanted it more, they were attacking more, and had a lot more shots on goal as well, considering the fact that they did take a lot of shots at the keeper. They did make the keeper work for it a bit, and there weren't as many bad shots as there were. Of course, there were still problems where we couldn't really get the ball into the back of the net early when we had opportunities, but we were able to, what I could notice was kind of close down Tulsa's opportunities when they had a shot at goal, and so that made it a lot better. Of course, until the second half, which we'll get into.
Yeah, definitely. And from what we could tell, there were a couple of differences in this match in regards to the lineup and how the formation that was used in this match. So the starting 11 for the Toros, you had Nico Cordy and the goalkeeper. That stayed the same. You had Kai Green finally get the start, as well as Sheldon Sullivan, Connor Donovan, and Omar Ontiveros. And then in the midfield, here's where things got interesting. You had Nicolas Perea, Matias Saldivar, Todd Warden, and I believe this is David Cabrera, number 28, and Pablo Aguilar. And then up on top, you had Aldo Quintanilla as a striker. But no, it was Wilmer Cabrera Jr. Wilmer Cabrera Jr. who gets his first start in his professional career with the Toros, uh, alongside Todd, like I said, Todd Warden, Matias Saldivar, and Perea. And what did you see out? What did you see out of that formation? Did this surprise you there and others there at HB Park?
Oh, it did for sure. I mean, we had a lot of. Yeah, it was a really good lineup for sure. Yeah, a lot of defense. Like the defense was there for sure, just like it has been, and as well as the offense. And what I mean by that is the offense was able to pick it up as well. That midfield worked really nicely together. Yes, of course, I'd still like us to get away from that lone striker position, but at the same time, it looked a bit better. It looked like signs were pointing up, considering the fact that we were able to get more shots off, and I did enjoy it for sure. And yeah, considering of course from that first half, it was a much better side.
So I think we were talking about it throughout the game. Just the fact that it felt like this was a completely different formation. Looks like they were like Coach Echeverry finally started to want to try something different in order to try to get these some better results. And it looked from what I was reading from your tweets, it seemed that RGVFC at some moments had control of the match, but it was kind of come and go between the Toros and the Roughnecks as far as attacking opportunities were concerned. But they just did not have that accuracy in front of goal, like it has been for most of this 2018 season.
Exactly, and you pointed out really well just right now, saying that it was a bit come and go for both sides. And that's what you will kind of expect when you're trying to attack more than play defense on. And of course, yeah, we'll talk about it when we because of the fact that we were able to score actually during this game. Why? Because I felt like, and you probably felt like this too, Jerson decided, let's push forward more. And yes, we still have that strong defense, but yes, we'll push that defense up more because we want to have that opportunity to score goals. That's what we need to do. And yeah, that different formation really helped as well, helped us to do exactly that. And yes, when we did score a goal, it was epic. It was huge. It was what we absolutely needed, especially considering given the fact of how this formation was.
Yeah, and I think the most surprising out of me, the most surprising aspect is the fact that Coach Echeverry, gave the nod to Wilmer Cabrera Jr. With such a huge responsibility to start. Especially when he had only been getting like some sparing minutes here and there when they had some friendlies, against FC Brownsville and other teams like that. And then all of a sudden he gets the start the call up to start, and it seemed to me like from the little I managed to watch from the stream, because I was at a BVA campus, it looked to me like Wilmer Cabrera had more of a winger position, playing out on the right hand side of the pitch, instead of the center where the USL website has them. At least that's what it seemed to me. Like more often than not, when he would get the ball, it was up to the right-hand side of the field.
Yeah, exactly. It was more up to the right-hand side of the field. And you also talk about Jerson giving him that start, giving Wilmer Cabrera Jr. that start, and it was what he needed, considering the fact that Jerson changes the formation first off, and then puts Cabrera Jr. in. It's about time that he started to change the lineup up to try and figure out. Sorry, I just moved my mic there, but
yeah,
can we score a goal if I try this out? Because yes, it is sad to say this, but it's true. We're in testing now. We're in testing mode now for 2019. and it stinks to say this. Yes, we still have a chance to maybe win some games here and there, maybe make a run. But in my opinion, it's a bit too late, and this is a perfect opportunity for Justin to try some new things out, just in case he will be on the hot seat come March of next year.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, because like I said, we were at that time, we were second to the last, actually third to the last, because I think Seattle Sounders too was a little 1 point beneath us. But I mean, mathematically, we're still in it. But the way they had been playing, kind of leads you to doubt that we're able to get the necessary results in order to make it to the playoffs. Because not only do you have to rely on yourself, but you have to rely on the results of all of the other teams that are higher up than you on the table. And you're talking about a lot of teams that you have to rely on to consistently lose in order for you to have a shot to make it. And not only that, you have to win most of the remaining games of the season. So it's a tough hill. And I think really what's more important right now is to get ourselves into a groove. And that way we can get some momentum that in case we don't make it to the playoffs, kind of keep that momentum, kind of keep most of this roster and start building upon this for next season, for 2019, like you say. I know it's going to be hard for a lot of us to swallow. It's hard for me to swallow, but you have to be, sometimes you have to be realistic. Yeah, you have to see the writing on the wall. And for this season, it's going to be very difficult. So might as well just take the positives out of this and continue with this process for RGV.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But it was fantastic to see that Jerson still cared and to see that he was willing to make changes and show and give other players opportunities. Like he said, that's perfect. Giving Wilmer Cabrera Jr. an opportunity because of given the fact that he is a young kid in this roster is huge. So to give him some starting minutes was perfect. And he did a good job. I won't say that he did a fantastic job because we all know that even some of the players that with this formation, they didn't necessarily do the best job possible because yes, it is a new formation. They're still trying to learn it. And of course, as we've talked on this show before, learning newer formations takes time. It takes more experience and things like that.
Especially if you're used to doing things another way, and then like in the middle of everything, you have to completely change your mentality, all the runs you have to make in order to for this new formation to be successful. I mean, it wasn't bad, but the truth of the matter is, and I said it many times, like if we cannot beat the Roughnecks, then something is really going on. And we ended up getting a 1-1 tie against the Tulsa Roughnecks. So in the second half, so the first half ended 0-0. Really not much to talk about. In the second half, you had first Bryce Marion coming into the 65th minute for Wilmer Cabrera Jr. That was the first substitution. And like we said it many times, Bryce Marion just adds some spark to the RGV offense. There's something about him. Sean says that maybe because he knows the Dynamo system really well. And so that's why he's kind of able to gel in that aspect. But the fact of the matter is that Bryce Marion, whenever he has been called to play, whether as a starter or as a sub, he's done his job.
By far. I mean, that man, I've met him multiple times. He is amazing. That man is a saint in a way. Really good dude. It would be cool if we ever got him on this show, but that's obviously beside the point here. Yeah, he stepped on that field, and Ray and I got to interview him after the game, and he said, of course, it does bring a spark to you after you've been starting for a long time and then being on the bench and having to come from the bench. But it didn't matter because he came off that bench and he was able to make this beautiful assist to Chuy Enriquez. I mean, both the players that have been interviewed game in and game out, knowing that they need to change something, were able to actually make it happen that night.
Yeah, and you said, Chuy Enriquez coming in the 74th minute. Not a minute later goes by. We have that play in which Bryce Marion intelligently puts the ball towards the penalty spot, where Chuy Enriquez, without a man, without a mark, just comes in on the first touch, is able to beat the keeper and slot it in for the goal. And everything was fine and dandy at that point. But then, right after kickoff, boom, we get tied up again.
I mean, it's as simple as we just forgot how to play soccer. Not how to play soccer, but we just forgot that we were actually still playing a game. We thought we had just won it in the 90-plus minute, basically. Or it was golden goal or something like that, basically. So, yes, that was just... It was bad luck in a way, and also just poor play by us. And, of course, it comes with experience. You've got to know how long to celebrate, and you've got to know I've still got to play a match. It doesn't matter if I score one goal, maybe even 2 goals. I've still got a match to play. I've still got a match to defend.
Yeah, I mean, that's not taken away from the beautiful play that Tulsa was able to build on that goal. But truth to the matter is that in that play, it seems like Omar Ontiveros was too eager to try to intercept the ball that he left a huge gap for the attacker, for G, to take advantage of and beat Nico Cordy as he was coming up. At least that's what I get from that replay, is that you had the two Tulsa attackers in his area, and so when they're trying, when in the middle of that 1-2 pass, it's like he went out of his position to try to intercept that, and the only thing that happened, it was he was left in an awkward position where neither him or Connor Donovan or Sheldon Sullivan would be able to react quick enough and try to intercept the ball, or to slide tackle the attacker before he took the shot on Nico Cordy's goal.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, yeah, it's going to happen sometimes. You're going to get that goal, and then it's there. And after the game, of course, I did ask Jerson, said, is it weird, or I forget exactly what I asked, but it was just...
I have the video, the audio here, if you want for us to play it, of the interviews.
I think I'm fine. It's just... Yeah, no, I forget what it was, but it was basically like, do you think is it kind of weird that the defense and offense kind of switch off time and time again, where the defense is great and the offense is? And he said it's not really that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of it's just, I thought we played fine. I thought both of them played well. It's just the fact that we just lost focus, that mental error for a second. And then, of course, I asked Bryce, I believe it was Bryce, the opposite. So, no, it was truly the opposite. That's it. Can this give momentum into the friendly and Las Vegas Lights?
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the first of all is the coach Jerson Echeverry interview after this match against the Tulsa Roughnecks, and from what his body posture and everything, like, he looked completely disappointed at this results. And I mean it's an obvious thing, because you need results now in the league. So let's take a listen to what he had to say after the match against Tulsa.
Test to make sure that they can link up, make the right runs, and make the right passes. Because the guy,
this is the one that had the.
He's got a very smart. He's very smart around the goal, and he understands that he. overall execution in the final third.
Coach, you were mentioning about Wilmer Cabrera getting in 65 minutes and making that. When you pulled off number 10 and brought in Chuy Enriquez, was it something that you were hoping to provide an instant spark off the bench, or just try to keep pushing numbers forward as the game progresses forward?
Well, I think any time that you've been starting and you get put on the bench and you come off, you're hoping that it lights up a fire. I mean, as a player, it usually does. So we knew though that there were some gaps out wide, and we felt that with the pace and agility that both Bryce and Chuy bring to the table, we felt that we could expose that, and it worked out. Just unfortunately it was short-lived.
Those early shots you had on target, was that something that you kind of expected after weeks of trying to get something through?
We've been asking guys to just get shots on target. If you notice, we missed everything high. We don't hit the target, and we just been asking guys, hey, force the keeper into saving it. You know what I mean? I mean, to the point where it's like it's almost better if they hit it right at him. Because I mean, when you're missing and skying balls, you just really don't have a chance. At least when you're getting something on target, there's a possibility of a ball knuckling getting under him or a rebound or something. So we need to be better as far as getting shots on target. So I was happy to see that at least we were attempting that. Some of them were just little weak, but I guess you got to have a starting point, especially when you haven't been scoring.
And giving up to some of those set pieces to Tulsa early on and even throughout the match, were those just defensive lapses that just went aside from the defense, or what did you see on those set piece
Yeah,
plays?
exactly. Defensive lapses. Sometimes we weren't moving our feet and defending well. We were lunging a couple of times, and they're slick enough to be able to bite and force you into some of those fouls. And that's something they look for. They're pretty good in some set pieces. You can know if you notice they're a pretty tall team, especially in the back. So they do like those mismatches, and they have all sorts of different plays in which they look for set pieces goals. As it's an important part of the game nowadays, where a lot of goals are scored from set pieces. So it's something that's become. That's common, You got to get goals from set pieces.
So, Coach, when your defense comes alive, your offense seems to not come alive. But when your offense comes alive, your defense seems to not come alive. So, what can you say from that?
Well, I thought defensively we did pretty decent for most of the game. As soon as we scored is when we took a lapse, and then it wasn't until maybe later on where we took another defensive lapse and the ball came through where it beat between our center back and our outside back, just poor defending. So I thought that those were the two big mistakes that we made all game. Besides that, I thought that defensively we were pretty solid. So.
Agree or disagree, guys? Let me know there in the chat what you think of what Coach Gerson Echeverry mentioned in the post-game conference after the match between RGV and the Tulsa Roughnecks. One of the things he also mentioned is they asked him about Bryce Marion, and one of the things he said was that he likes that Bryce Marion is smart enough to know that he is not going to beat defenders physically. And so he takes the qualities that he has to avoid any physical, encounters with defenders, with left backs, you name it, and able to get plays done to beat the defenders and find good opportunities on goal, which is exactly what he did in that assist with Chuy Enriquez. Another thing I do want to mention, and that's because he also mentioned it in the conference, was that he knew that Tulsa had really tall center backs in their lineup, and what more of an example of the intelligence that Bryce Marion brings, even at his young age, that he knows that if he tries to cross high, the center backs 9 times out of 10 are going to get it. So what does he do? He brings a low cross over to Chuy Enriquez to give him a full advantage against the defense. And that is something that not many 17-year-olds have.
Exactly. I mean, I remember me when I was 17. I was a hard-headed kid. I mean, that was a year ago for me, but still, I was a hard-headed kid and not entirely, smart. And so this guy coming in with this type of intelligence, yes, he's been with Houston or just the academy for a while. He knows that in and out, but his soccer intelligence is out of the roof for still how much he can even gain. Like the knowledge that he can gain is still immense. And with him at this age, knowing that I can do this, beating two center backs here from two tall center backs because we know his height. His height is pretty small still, and compared to other people, and so it's really well that he knew what to do in that situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So just some other stats before we go on to the next interview. So in general, after the match, when the match ended, RGVFC had 57.3 percent possession. Success rate, a dual success rate, 60.5%. So the defense looks strong out there. Going up against the Tulsa Roughnecks attack. Tulsa only had 39.5 of success rate. Surprisingly, and that is contributing to the fact that RGVFC does not really have like tall defenders, compared to other teams, but they won 57.1% of aerial duels compared to 42.9 of Tulsa. And then they had interceptions was pretty stable. Well, not stable, but pretty equal. 17 interceptions for the Toros, 18 interceptions for the Roughnecks. On the attack, so the Toros had 16 shots on goal compared to 11 for the Roughnecks. 6 shots on target compared to 3 for the Roughnecks. Three of those shots on target were blocked. So you're talking about what Coach Echeverry mentioned. Get that ball on target, even if it's straight to the goalkeeper. But he's not going to accept any more sky high shots from this attack. And you could see that they were putting more emphasis on trying to get that ball onto the goal.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we'll see from especially next game, or we'll talk about from next game with the friendly of how that really impacted that game too. We saw a lot more shots on goal from that next game, but it was really impressive to see that they were trying their hardest to not skyrocket a shot, which was really nice to see compared to what we had been seeing all season. And so it was there, and it really did feel like to me, even though we did get that 1-1 draw just because of a lapse, it felt like things were kind of looking up for the better in this future of the Toros.
Here's another interesting statistic that I do want to point out. Out of those 16 shots that the Toros made during the match, 12 of them were from outside the box. 4 were from inside. So you're talking that not only are they trying to get those shots towards the target, but they're also trying what we've been kind of mentioning for a while, that they should try to shoot from outside the box, not necessarily take the ball inside the box where everybody's going to be crowded up, and number 2, not rely too much on our wingers. For this match, there was still some wing play, but from this statistic, and I'm going to be pulling up right now the statistics from the last match, which is against St. Louis, and against St. Louis, the Toros had 10 shots, 2 shots on target, 6 shots were from outside the box, 4 from inside the box. So now they're starting to look for that opportunity of shooting from outside the box while also continuing to work on that accuracy, which I think will, if they continue to perfect this, they might pay some big dividends by the end of the season.
Oh, for sure, big time. I mean, everything is going towards the future. Especially right now, it's just a lot like what Houston's doing, the Houston Dynamo are doing. We're in it for the long term. We're just not in it for this little tiny short term. A lot of those teams we've noticed, of course, Portland Timbers too. Look at them last year; they were dead last, just about where we were. And look at them now; they're almost at the top of the Western Conference in the USL. And my point being, they're in it for the long haul as well. So you look at it this way: if you see it start to go back up, if you see that climb of improvement, then that's what you want to see, and that is why I think we're gonna see a couple of wins, starting even maybe this Saturday.
Here's something that from what you're mentioning, here's an interesting thing. So let's take a look at the past three games for the Toros. You had the first one I'm going to be talking about, Phoenix Rising against RGVFC, when we hosted Phoenix Rising at home. 0-0 draw. 16 shots from... Oh, no, wait, that's Phoenix. We only had 9 shots in the whole game. 9 shots, only 1 was on target. 2 block shots, 5 of them were outside the box, 4 inside. Shooting accuracy, 11.1%. St. Louis. We talked about all the other stats. 20% shooting accuracy against St. Louis. And now you come against Tulsa, 37.5% shooting accuracy. If this is an improvement or a sign that there's improvement on the attack, at least a little bit, maybe it's not reflecting on the results, but at least stats-wise, you can see a consistent improvement in that regards.
Exactly, and it's what we need. I know that I've kind of kept saying this, but it's exactly what we need. These small little improvements to show that we can get this ship sailing once again in the right direction, to be exact, because yes, it was still sailing, but just in the wrong direction. And so now if we can get that ship sailing just in the right direction with a constant little steady pace of success, then we'll look good. And of course, yeah, with as well as that friendly, that has proven that it can be even more of a success.
Definitely. So let's take a look. Our next interview that we're going to listen to is with Bryce Marion.
You can start things off. Bryce, don't take me through the breakdown that you saw that led to Tulsa seeing guys what did you see on that line?
Honestly, it happened pretty quickly after we scored. I felt like we relaxed a little bit, which left us vulnerable. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they scored immediately off the following kickoff. I know that they came down, I think, my side a little bit, crossed it, played a ball into the middle, and then, I mean, you have to give credit to them. They played some nice combinations and ended up getting a goal, which was unfortunate because I thought we'd worked pretty hard to put ourselves in an advantageous position after we scored our goal.
How did you guys react to that mentally, seeing that you guys got the breakthrough and got ahead, and then they immediately answered? What did that impact your mentality?
Obviously, it was frustrating to get scored on, to concede so quickly after we had scored a goal. But I think we looked around and we went and we tried to go get the game again. We know we wanted to win the game, and we knew that there was still, I think, about 10 minutes left. So we tried to push for the next goal, and that's really the only reaction that we thought we could have.
Did you think there was a moment of relaxation or complacency after you guys broke through?
I'm not sure. It's just, I mean, we got scored on literally the subsequent kickoff, so there must have been some moment of pause or just like a slight misread of the other team, or I can't really diagnose it right now. I need to look at the film, but I mean, to get scored on so quickly after we scored a goal, I know it definitely had to do something with, we probably took our foot off the pedal or something like that.
Before that, you contributed with sending in the cross on the goal that you guys scored. Take me through that play from your perspective. What did you see?
The defender was just dribbling at me. I tried to put myself in a good defensive position. He tried to chop me. cut me inside, and I think he ended up leaving the ball. So I just poked it away, dribbled down, and I picked out Chewy, slid him the ball, and Chewy did the rest.
For you coming on as a sub after making a couple of starts, how does that change your mentality?
My mentality was I needed to go in and change the game. I felt like I'd done pretty well in my previous starts, but I just didn't have that end product that the coaches were looking for. So I know when I was coming on, Dershon just looked at me. He said he knew that I was going to create chances, but he said it's time to capitalize on those chances. And so that's just what I tried to do.
Do you mentally feel, I don't know if slighted is the right word, or any kind of like that you had that opportunity before and it was taken away from you, and you have something to prove when you come in as a sub now?
Definitely. No player likes going from being in the starting 11 for a good run of games and then being put subsequently on the bench. But I tried to take it in a positive light. I just thought, I'm going to get some minutes, and whatever those minutes are, I'm going to try to do the best I possibly can with them. Yeah.
That opportunity of goal when the defender dropped it down, provided the assist, and after they scored, did you see some fatigue on the Tulsa defense where you could have possibly broken them down one more time to get another clear opportunity?
Definitely. I thought they were there for the taking. If we could have just been a bit sharper in some of our final third movements, I feel like we could have taken that winning goal, but unfortunately we weren't able to. But I definitely say that. I think we, as a team, we sort of smelled blood in the water, and we wanted to go after that, but unfortunately we weren't able to.
Bryce, you've got Club Santos coming in Wednesday, man.
All right. I have to say it, he sounds a lot more mature than what his age says he is. Not only in the professional aspect of the sport, but the way he gives his responses to these questions. He seems very measured. He knows that what they did wrong. He might not be able to explain it fully because he doesn't have that experience to kind of put his thoughts into words, but he has an idea what they did wrong, and what they need to do, what he needed, or what needs to be analyzed, how to take advantage of these opportunities. And the fact that he said, obviously, no player wants to be on the bench after being, a starter for so many games, but pretty much said that he had to channel that opportunity or that in order to benefit the team. And that is what I like about Bryce Marion, is the fact that he knows what he needs. He knows what he needs to do, and he's got the talent to back it up.
Exactly. It's fantastic that we have a player at that mentality, at that level of maturity, as well as knowing exactly what he needs to do, and he has that talent to back it up, just like he said. And it's something else when you can take that opportunity and actually capitalize on it. And that's what we needed. We need more players exactly like them, I think. And of course, this is just me saying it for the future, but it can happen, especially when Tyler Derrick comes in. He sees Bryce Marion. He sees how mature that guy is for his age and things like that, and can get after, the whole team just to say, look at Bryce Marion, be a lot more like this guy, take advantage of your opportunities and be more mature about it.
Yeah, definitely. At least, and I know some other players, especially the ones that have been getting minutes and not really doing much. They need to learn more from this kid. In regards, I don't know if, like I said, if Tyler Derrick, because of his experience, one would say it would be easy, but it's still the fact that these kids are so young. Sometimes it proves difficult for even someone that you can consider like a role model or is on this. How can I say it? For these kids, difficult for them to kind of capture, this. Okay, well, this needs to be done. But I seriously hope that this actually works out for the Toros. I'm not sure if Tyler Derrick is over there already at RGV. I am not really sure. I'd have to check to see, because I know when they released the news, they mentioned that the negotiations were still ongoing in regards to the terms of the loan between Tyler Derrick and the Toros. So it'd be interesting to see when he's actually going to be physically there in RGV and starting to attend practices with the Toros. We got one last interview, and this is with Chuy Enriquez.
All right, Chewy, whenever you're ready, brother.
All right, Chewy, so take me through what it was like right after you guys score. They come back and score again. What did you see on that play, or what was the reaction?
No, it was just we lost concentration. You know, it was half a second after the goal, they scored. You know, that's just lack of concentration, and you know, at the end of the day, it's frustrating all the time. Every single time, we get up and we end up tying or we end up losing, and you know, the team had a great game, and we got a goal, but obviously it wasn't enough.
Did you feel like once you guys were able to put a score in that there was a sense of complacency or taking your foot off the pedal a little bit as a team?
No, I mean, I think we just have to keep going the way we were playing. You know, we scored, and it seemed like we wanted to go back and just defend, and that wasn't the way to do it.
What did you see on that play that you were able to score? Take me through it from your perspective.
Well, I saw Bryce going down the line, and I was by the midfield line, and I just sprint as hard as I can to get there, and he had a good cross, and I just finished it first time.
There'd been so much talk about you guys not scoring or trying to find a breakthrough. It must have felt good too.
Yeah, no, it was, you know, obviously it felt good at the moment, but when they scored the goal, it was just, it felt like nothing, you know, like there was nothing.
For you coming in the game as a sub, how was your mentality different compared to you had started, I think, 10 matches in a row before that?
Well, it was the same thing, you know, I'm here for the team, and I went in there thinking that I was going to help the team, and obviously it worked out, but at the end of the day, like I said, the result that we wanted, we didn't get it, so it doesn't matter.
Does it light a fire under you at all to have to come off the bench after having that starting opportunity for so long?
Light a fire as in do I get mad?
Like, well, no, just inspire you or make you want to play.
No, yeah, of course, you know, not really something to prove, you know, those are just tactics, the coach's decisions, and I can't change them. And, you know, at the end of the day, if I get the opportunity, whether it's full 90 or just 5 minutes, I'm going to take advantage of it.
I saw coming off the field you had, I guess, a pretty elaborate goal celebration. You kissed the inside of your wrists or touch your knees and stuff like. What is that stuff?
Yeah, I have my bracelet and my tattoos. I have my sisters right here on my tattoos, and the bracelet, I just always have it with something that my mom sent me.
Oh, okay.
And then my shin guards, it's not my knees, it's my shin guards. I have a bracelet that I got from Mexico, and my little niece, you know, she sent me a bracelet a really long time ago when I was playing in Mexico, and ever since then I've been having it there.
Oh,
So-
you wear all that stuff for every match, I guess?
Yeah, just wear it, you know.
Hey, man, when you came in, like you came in off the bench, did you, like, because Coach said that y'all noticed there was some holes coming in. So when he came off and you said Bryce, you saw Bryce was going to set you up. Were you seeing that, like, from the bench, so that's how you were able to go ahead and score?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. I mean, you know, you told me that we were going to go back to our regular formation, which, you know, you guys all know what it is, and obviously it worked. So coming off the bench, you know, he had told me that maybe I was going to go in as a 10 or as a 9. You know, I didn't know until I got there, and he explained everything. You know, like I said earlier, it worked out, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if we didn't get the result we wanted.
Do you think that this is kick in the right direction, as in your offense looked good and your defense at the same time? Do you think that you guys can bring that into playing against Santos and playing against Las Vegas this next weekend?
Yeah, I think, you know, this gives us confidence, the fact that we haven't scored in a while, and, you know, we got to go. And, you know, obviously the game against Santos is going to help us out also because the experience, we're playing against top players, and, you know, hopefully we get some goals there so to get confidence against Vegas.
It's another one of those players. He's Chuy Enriquez. To me, he seems more blunt with his answers, but he's got the right idea of that. There's always a lot to improve, and he's always one of those that says, if I do something, I do it for the team. So we have really a good players with great mentality for that'll benefit the team. It's just, and we've mentioned it many times, it just seems to me that the problem is that these players sometimes aren't clicking together on the attack. And the fact that we're already kind of building this little connection between Bryce Marion, Chuy Enriquez, that's a start. And we're starting to see a little bit some of the results of that little connection being worked on. Now, I do hope that this continues for the rest of the season and becomes more consistent. Because we all thought against Orange County SC, we beat them. They were second place in the conference. We said, "Oh, excellent. The Toros, the Toros that harked us back to the 2016 season is here." What happens next? That was the last match we've won in league play, and in league play. So pretty disappointing season. Obviously, they know what needs to be fixed, but it's kind of taken a while. Because of that, a lot of us have been feeling pretty grim about this result, about this team, about the future of this team in this season. Especially when you had the Liga MX champion coming in to HEB Park, preseason, mind you, for them. But it does not take away the fact that they're high quality players on that team, and that we're gonna come to the Toros, to HEB Park. And a lot of people, including myself, are like, well, I guess we'll just kind of have to take advantage of that opportunity to kind of tweak some things here and there. Honestly, I did not expect a result. I didn't even expect a tie, much less a win against Santos Laguna. What did you think?
It was an insanely good game. We needed to get things figured out, and that this was a perfect opportunity for us to get things figured out. I actually have here the original starting lineup, which is pretty cool because I didn't expect to get one, and they gave us one for the starting lineup. Of course, it was Matthew Sanchez at goal, which was nice to see him out, getting more minutes so that we can develop another keeper. Not like we really need another keeper to get developed, but it's always nice to have extras. And then Kai Green, number two there, was starting as well with Omar Ontiveros, Roberto Castellanos, Derek Luke, which that was a big name for me. Like, that was a big spot. And Nicolas Padilla with Todd Wharton. And then how about Jorginho James with Andy Cabrera? And at least that's what it says here. Jordan Jones with Pablo Aguilar. And then, of course, the bench would be Nicolas Corti with Manuel Padilla, Bryce Marion, David Cabrera, Monday Atim, John Matano, and then Kyle Adams, Guillermo Delgado, Jesus Enriquez, Zach Wright. It's pretty tough to read, but Romedio Hernandez. So yeah, that was the lineup there.
And Brandon Morales, no? On the bench as well?
I don't think so, at least.
He has to be on that lineup and the bench because, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I know a lot of people on social media biggest complaint that I have seen, besides the ones we've already talked about, well, it's because the Toros are not grassroots. There are no players that we can that are from here that we can connect to. Might have been the reason it's 2016, but 2017 we had Victor Garza. 2018 we have Victor, Omar Ontiveros, and now we also have Brandon Morales.
Yes,
who
Brandon.
is- who is an RGVFC Academy product. So really exciting. Really exciting to see that with this team.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I just found Brandon Morales.
Yeah, definitely. How are you doing, Rick?
Yeah, so-
Hey, good evening, Edson, Jacob, Sean, if possible.
He's not here.
Okay, good. So last night's game was, whoa, totally unexpected.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said before, like I wasn't expecting a tie, much less a win. And so you went over the lineup, Jacob, and I think the biggest surprise for me was not Wilmer Cabrera Jr. Neither was the fact that Jorginho James, but the fact that Derek Luke started and actually looked decent out there. That to me was the biggest surprise of this match, independent of the results. The fact that Derek Luke, who had been struggling all this season, in the beginning of the season played a couple of games, never heard from him ever since, to all of a sudden get the start in this match, was able to keep up with these Santos players. That's got to say maybe his recovery has been advancing really well while he was gone.
Yeah, for sure. That was impressive. I was really impressed that this team was able to keep up with Santos, because I could tell even from the start that Santos Laguna, they were pushing that tempo up big time. And so I was just like Ray, and you were afraid. I was also afraid to see, can we handle that? Can we compete with them? Can we make sure that that's okay? And so it was really insane to see that. And I'll also want to bring up a tweet that Sean said, because it's so true. Start Kai Green, Aguilar scores a goal, RGV don't give up a goal within a minute of the goal. This seems like something RGV should try to do more of.
Definitely. Right?
You know, I was very, very surprised with the play of Robert Castellanos. Independent of the result, he was able to stop a few dangerous plays, even stop a couple of build-ups, and even Matt Sanchez surprised me a little bit with his style of play last night.
Yeah, I mean, so I was talking to one of the people that kind of analyze the Toros a lot, and he was telling me that Coach Echeverry seemed to want to try something new, which he started with in the Tulsa match. He mentions that in that match, they weren't really 100% with this formation. They were making runs incorrectly, and runs that did not give them an advantage or did not exploit the new formation's potential in the attack. And in this match, it seemed like everything was just clicking with it. There was a bigger connection between the midfielders and the attackers, with the fact. And I think this is the most eye-pleasing aspect of this. The fact that RGVFC did not rely 100% on the wing play. It seemed to me that the Toros were actually trying to build some of the attack through the middle of the pitch, or with through balls trying to get through the back of the Santos defenders, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, it just really did seem to work. It's insane that we were able to find so much game in the path of almost just a half week in a way. Of course, yes, you're coming off of Tulsa, and then you're changing it up even more. And I'm just looking at the lineup, and I was shocked because even from that tweet that Sean said, it makes such a good point that you've got these guys that were able to make some crazy defensive saves, even without just Matt Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
Just some defensive saves to keep this clean sheet going and to keep up this work it was really impressive.
And we have to talk about Pablo Aguilar's free kick. That was just beautiful.
I say it beat Cristiano's goal and England's as well in the World Cup.
I wouldn't say
That
that much.
deserved a couple of fireworks celebrations, folks.
Oh, definitely. I completely agree with you, Ray. When we needed the fireworks, there were no fireworks. Sad face.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was just phenomenal. The finesse, the class in which Pablo Aguilar hit that ball, able to go over the wall, have enough curve that allowed the ball to curve downward towards the upper 90, and leaving the goalkeeper Acevedo with no opportunity to save that shot. And from then on, it was all Toros. At least that's what it seemed for me. The Santos, I felt like we're getting desperate. It kind of hurt their ego, the fact that, okay, a couple of days ago, you lost against San Antonio FC, another second division team from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're losing against another team from the second division. You got people watching you in Torreon, in all of Mexico on Facebook, and they're watching you lose again to another second division team. It seemed like their emotions, because a couple of the players were kind of young. They were like from their under 23 squad. You had a couple of 3-digit players there, and so it seemed they tried too hard to prove something, and they weren't thinking with their head anymore. They were thinking with their feet. I don't think that sounds correct in the fact. But the point is they weren't really thinking what they were doing. They were just kind of going with the flow of the match rather than playing intelligently. And the Toros got to their head. And I mean, it just worked out. It just worked out for the Toros. And then I believe a couple minutes later, after Pablo Aguilar's free kick, the first set of substitutions coming in for the Toros, he had Chuy Enriquez and a couple other players coming in, to kind of continue this rotation of this roster. But that second goal, that was just very intelligent by the Toros.
Yeah, Wharton played in Jones, and I guess that the thing was a little bit of history, as Wharton alluded to in the post-game interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're starting to see that connection, because if I'm not mistaken, in that first set of substitutions, you had Guillermo Delgado come in, and you have Jordan Jones was there, so from what we're seeing, and we've kind of talked about it before, looks like Gerson Echeverry is wanting to try that two-striker, and I know you mentioned it a little while ago, Jacob, but he's starting to try out that two-striker formation to see if that can help putting in goals on this attack. Whether it's Aldo, who, if I'm not mistaken, did he play yesterday or not?
Aldo, I remember sending in the team sheets right at the break.
Mm-hmm. It didn't help that the broadcast that I was watching, the Santos Laguna one, wasn't really high resolution. So the numbers were really, really blurry. I couldn't really make them out. But I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember seeing if Aldo coming in. I know Etienne Monday came in because he scored. Manny Padilla came in as well. I don't recall seeing Aldo. But the point is that he's trying to find a formation and get them used to it to see if there can be the connection, kind of leading up to what we mentioned many times, the good connection that we've seen in instances between Aldo Quintanilla and Jordan Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, exactly. And you brought it up even in the chat that we have here, and you said that the Toros during that match weren't really relying heavily on the wingers, which was fantastic. We were finding things in the midfield, or not really midfield, but like we were finding things in the middle part of the let's say 20-yard box.
Mm-hmm.
So it was much better to see that than getting trapped up in the corner like we constantly were and not able to put a ball technically even in a good position to head it in, maybe, because not to mention, we talked about it many times, we're not tall enough really to win those headers.
No, and besides that, the fact that we have not been able to get in a good cross throughout most of the season, and so that's got to say something that, hey, maybe with the kind of players that we have, it doesn't having wingers doesn't really work out. So maybe, and the fact is that we have some decent players that go through the middle. And so maybe that's where he sees that, you know what, we're going to try and focus on the middle of the attack. And then when players get tired, we'll see what happens in the future. But the way I see it is players get tired from this 4-3-1-2 formation. The players from the other team get tired. Bring in Chuy Enriquez, change it back to a 4-2-3-1, and see if we can find some danger through there with his dribbling ability. I think that's what I'm analyzing out of this formation change. Tire them out going through the middle, and then once your opposition is tired, bring in Chuy Enriquez, bring in Bryce Marion, and have them wreak havoc through the wings, and get some balls into whether it's Aldo Quintanilla, Guillermo Delgado, or Carlos Small when he's ready to play for the Toros.
And just of note, there was no Aldo Quintanilla last night. I'm looking at my snapshot of the team sheet from last night. No Aldo Quintanilla to be found.
Interesting.
He wasn't even listed. So that might be a little mystery for something to answer sometime down the line. And I guess we'll find out Saturday night if he'll be in the team sheet or perhaps starting 11.
Yeah, definitely. Because Dynamo has the Open Cup coming along. Number one. Number two, obviously, the way I also see it, they wanted to give Aldo Quintanilla some what's the word I'm looking for? Some rest.
Some rest?
Yes, exactly. And looking forward, because from what I'm hearing here in Houston, because the Dynamo schedule is so crowded in these next couple of weeks with league matches, Open Cup matches, they're probably going to be calling a couple of RGV players up to play against Swope Park Rangers on the 18th. So I think
Swope Park or Kansas City.
I mean,
True.
we all know it's the same thing. We all
True.
know it is. Because this is still technically a part of Dynamo, so we can hate just a bit on Kansas City.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's where this is going. I think it wasn't going to be beneficial for the Dynamo to be needing Aldo Quintanilla for this match, and the Toros tiring him out in this, you can say, a meaningless match because it's not league play, and you really, with the history of the fact that in the game between America and Pachuca, you had Jeremy Mene getting injured out for the whole season, and you really didn't want to take the risk of Aldo Quintanilla getting injured, so you rest him for this match.
And I will say this much. I will say this much, Edson, from last night's match. I think Santos may have lost one of their key players to injury during last night's exhibition.
Brian
as
Lozano,
well.
yes, Brian Lozano.
Yep.
Yeah, he had a lot. He had it had to do with his ankle. I think he might have twisted his ankle, and he
had to be carried off the stadium for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's and I know with the America match, we got a lot of criticism from America fans saying that our pitch was horrible, yada yada yada, because of Mene's injury. But we all know that's not the case. We're talking about one of the best fields in the United States, for even including second division, obviously. But the point is, the Dynamo probably didn't want to risk Aldo, so you rest him, and we're probably not going to see Aldo start. Maybe, but I think if I were the Dynamo, if I were the Toros, I wouldn't start him, especially with the fact that you have Jordan Jones, with this huge morale boost with the goal he scored in this match. You might want to give him some minutes as a striker, and give Aldo some rest. Why that works? Number one, you give Aldo rest. Number two, if Aldo's going to be gone for this Open Cup match, you want to get Jordan Jones to be prepared for that other league match that he's going to play. So might as well just have him there. Maybe if needed, bring Aldo in for the second half, and then he'll go make the trip to Houston, prepare himself for the Open Cup match against Sporting Kansas City. That's the way I see it, and I know a lot of people are going to be pissed whenever they listen to this on the podcast, but that's just how it is.
And I think that is perfect because we look at last night and we look at, how it's how it's been better in a sense because of Tulsa to even Santos, and just make this lineup almost permanent for a while, because we did have success. Yes, it was against a U23 team from Mexico, but some of those players, yes, they did play on that roster. So you give them an opportunity, see how this goes, because I think we do have some super subs on this bench if we play it right. And I'm talking about not starting Chewy and not starting Bryce Marion. Yes, that'll be upsetting, but at the same time, look at what they can do if we're having some trouble there. Look at what they can bring. They can bring this extra energy and this extra pace that we could need late in the game. I'm talking maybe 60-minute, 50-minute even, and boom, we can get that go-ahead goal, and for them to say, hey, we scored, but guess what? Let's get back and let's not only defend, but let's push forward again and get that second goal.
I got a comment here from a Blues fan. He says, so you're saying to start Dynamo legend Aldo Quintanilla against the well-rested SKC? The thing about it, Blues fan, like I said, there's a lot of talk saying that that they're going to be using a lot of RGV second stringers, on the attack. We know Ronaldo Peña, his visa is going to take a while to come. Max Steves is out for the rest of the season. You only have Mauro Manotas. So, are you going to start Mauro Manotas and have him continue to be fatigued again? Against maybe for the season, maybe. But you need to have Aldo Quintanilla rested enough so that maybe if he doesn't get the start, but if he comes in as a substitution, he's not gonna be fatigued, and he's not that way. He won't. You avoid the risk of him getting injured because of fatigue, and number two, that he won't be able to play as well because he's tired. So yeah, there you go, Blues. It's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. Especially the fact, I don't doubt, because the week before, Sporting Kansas City has a bye week. They're gonna be using their starters. So, I mean, that's you need them as well rested as possible. And knowing the Dynamo, their main focus is the MLS Cup, not the Open Cup. And I know a lot of people are pissed off, but the way their roster is right now, exactly. FC Dallas on that weekend, especially that. We want to have our best players against Frisco that weekend at home. We don't want to give Frisco enough opportunity for bragging rights and a lead for the Battle of El Capitan. It's just simple as that. So, moan all you want, but that's what's going to happen. We can't do anything about it. But just might as well just prepare everything. So that way the damage per se is minimal on the Toros. And I think after last night's match, I think we may have an opportunity to have not lose a lot if Aldo does not start in the next couple of matches because of Open Cup.
Yeah, I mean, don't even also forget for that Open Cup match for memes, Memo Rodriguez right there. Yes, he can technically be considered a star or a player that we may want for FC Frisco, but at the same time, you look at that Open Cup. Yes, Aldo plus Memo, a former RGVFC star, by the way. You put those two together, most likely because of Mauro Manotas will be resting after a tough derby match. So you put that together, it probably will happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so another thing I did want to point out about the Santos match, going back to it. So the last 30 minutes of this match, Santos put in their heavy artillery. They brought in Giannini Tavares. They brought in Julio Furch, if I'm not mistaken. They brought in the big guns. The fact that our defenders were able to keep them at 0 and did not... Okay, that's number one. Number two, they did not give these players, especially Giannini Tavares, who came in as the leading scorer last season of Liga MX, did not allow him to get comfortable enough to get a decent shot on goal. A lot of them were way high or way wide for either Julio Furch or for Giannini Tavares. That has to say something about, yes, it's preseason, but the quality that these players have, they could take advantage of that if you're not careful. But these players, these defenders, have shown that when they are 100% focused on this match for 90 plus minutes, they're able to get the job done no matter who it is. And that leaves me happy, and that leaves me comfortable for the rest of the season. Like I said last week, the defense, I don't really worry about it too much, because the only thing that we need to continue working on is to have that focus, have that concentration for the 90 plus minutes, not just for 80, 85 minutes. That's it. Right now, our focus is getting the attack to be better. We've seen a little bit of improvement in that regards. So results are coming. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah, it's definitely for sure. With the light at the end of the tunnel, everything is pointing up, especially given the fact of how well we played constantly, given with the offense and the defense. It was fantastic to see both on the rise, and it's fantastic that most likely with this type of lineup, before I say that, the biggest question will be, can we do that week in and week out? That's been the question all season. If we're able to pull these types of results against teams like Las Vegas Lights, I know we still have to play them on the road later this season, and a lot of other teams. I know we were talking about it last night, Ray and I think maybe Dan. We were talking about it last night that we have like 3 straight games or so on the road or something like that. So the question is, will we be able to at least pull out maybe 4 points from that little road thing, given the fact that we're moving up in a way?
Yeah. So you meant the 3 matches that we're going to be on the road. Portland again, really? Oh, this is Las Vegas. Duh. Okay. So RGVFC, their 3 consecutive away matches are going to be August 4th against Las Vegas. And then the second one is at Sacramento Republic, and then they come home again against OKC Energy, and then they go on the road again against LA Galaxy 2 and Orange County SC. But as far as 3 games in a row away, we don't have that anymore. The only one we had like that was in the beginning of the season against Portland, Seattle, and I believe it was Colorado. Yes. So we don't really have to worry about an extended period of time away from home. We just have to pretty much take advantage of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 more matches in the rest of the season, including the Saturdays. 7 more matches at home. So we have to take it. That's 21 points right there. It's a potential of 21 points just at home. We have to take advantage of those points and strive for getting 3 points every time. If we really want to make the playoffs, we have to start thinking like that. We cannot let any more points go at home if we want to be a decent team in this USL.
And on Wednesday, we just showed we have the depth to do it. We can give Aldo the rest when he needs to, because we have other players that can fill the gap. And yeah, sure, this might also be a little tactical where Bryce Marion and Chuy Enriquez are on the bench to save some fuel for the push ahead, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Giving them, the break for the first half gives them more energy or even more fitness to go further in the long run. And of course, giving the fact that we've got Andy Cabrera Jr., all these players, it's fantastic that we have this type of depth, and now we're kind of using it. So there's no reason for us not to get the 21 points because of our team.
Thoughts, Ray?
Well, the most important part of the schedule might be the game after July 28th through August 17th. Any positive result from those games is going to be an enormous hope. Granted, if we get nothing but 3 at home. If we can manage to steal a few of those games on the road, that would be fantastic.
Agreed. I mean, we mentioned it every time in Generation Orange, or Sean mentions it every time, that in this play style of American soccer, whether it's MLS or USL, there seems to be this whole idea that you earn as many points at home. Try to strive for winning at home and getting ties on the road. Obviously, your mentality has to be to win. But if you can get ties on the road, those are decent results in order to be successful in MLS and in USL. So that's what needs. That's what needs. That's the type of results that we need. Getting wins at home, like you mentioned as well, Ray. Ties away.
Mhm.
So, any final thoughts from this Santos Laguna match?
No, well, just one final thought from me on my end. I want to personally thank Eduardo Carrega once again for being up there. Just so kind of teach me a little bit more about the ropes about this lovely business of ours. And also one thing that I'm kind of left shocked. The Santos head coach decided not to give any type of statement to all the media members that were present. I can visibly understand why that he may have a very important match on Sunday, in which I alluded to on my Twitter feed during halftime and probably even full time.
Yes.
Of the match, as they are on their way to California for their Liga de Campeones match against Tigres.
Whoop, whoop.
At the StubHub Center Sunday night. So it's going to be an interesting game to see how they finish reacting in preparations to their league opener in a few weeks' time.
Yeah,
And
it's
for
too.
the Toros,
Mhm.
look nothing forward but for 3 points and try to beat a Heckle and Jive Vegas team, which is a little bit seasoned in the back, but have some young kids playing up front. They're a little bit of a seasoned team, but let's see if we can get them on a bad night, because they also played last night too against OKC.
Oh, that was an interesting match. So here's the thing about Las Vegas Lights. From the beginning, this team was gonna be out of the ordinary, positive and negative way. Anything you can think of that's out of the ordinary, Las Vegas Lights has it, and there's many. A very eccentric sporting director. Him starting as a coach, then all of a sudden, like a couple games in, oh, my son's going to be the coach now. I'm going to be the sporting director now, with El Chelis. The fact, and there are many other instances, that penalty that they tried. Again, I forgot who it was, but like he, instead of taking the penalty directly towards the goal, like he just kind of passed it to the side to Samuel Ochoa, not related in any way, just pointing that out, and missing it. It's very eccentric. So I think you can expect the same thing against the Toros. They're not going to be playing very traditional. They're always going to be standing out, and I think the results have pretty much been a good reflection of that mentality, of that tradition of Las Vegas Lights. So the past 3 matches for the Lights, they tied 2-2 away against Tulsa. They defeated home St. Louis FC 1-0. And yesterday they lost 6-4 away against OKC Energy FC. Now, what does this mean?
The baseball game broke out over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, let me finish the reference. The baseball game broke out there between the Oklahoma City Dodgers and the Las Vegas 51. And this is, of course, Pacific League baseball talk. As both teams do share a AAA baseball in the same league. So that's just a little statistical note there, Edson.
Yeah, I love that reference. So right now, the Las Vegas Lights, they have conceded 36 goals, which is 2.1 per game. Have kept 2 clean sheets and have conceded 3 penalties. The Toros, on the other hand, kind of making a little comparison here between both teams, just to see what we're looking at. The Toros, on the other hand, defensively, they have only conceded 21 goals, 1.2 per game. We kept a total of 6 clean sheets and conceded 3 penalties. So you're talking about a team that has not looked great on defense in the Las Vegas Lights. However, on the attack, they have scored 28 goals compared to our 15. So Las Vegas is it's really an entertaining a team. They score goals, but they also get scored on a lot. And we have to take advantage of our great defense to stop this attack, and take advantage of their horrible defense to try to get a win against the Lights. It is possible, but we have to continue everything that has been building up to this match, especially what we've done against Santos Laguna. Jacob?
Okay, yeah, it's completely possible for us to get this win. We know it can happen with the way that we have been playing. It's a matter of execution once again. It's execution. Even Jerson has pointed it out last night too. Can we stay focused? Because they won, obviously, Wednesday. That's still technically a win. Even though it's a friendly, that's a win. So as long as they didn't do anything really dumb last night or anything dumb tonight, if you kind of get what I'm saying, then they should be fine. Just they need to stay focused. For sure, yes, training actually is tonight. So they just need to focus on everything that they need to put forth for them this Saturday and for the seasons to come, because it is possible for this win.
So players to look out for the Lights. Raúl Mendiola, 6 appearances, 5 goals. Carlos Alvarez, 17 appearances, 5 goals. Tied for third are Daigo Kobayashi, 4 goals, and Samuel Ochoa with 4 goals as well. Joel Wikidios with 3 goals. Alex Mendoza with...
Seriously, that guy's still playing around? I thought that guy may have retired in the Mexican League.
No.
In the Liga Ascenso.
Nope. That's what we thought. That's what we all thought. But nope. He came and followed El Chelis to the USL. And he is their, I guess you can say, their most veteran, one of their most, if not the most veteran player of this team. Never really been that great. Sure, he has been with the Mexican national team, but that was in a time where,
in a transitional era.
I was gonna say more along the lines where anybody could have worn the Mexico jersey. That's how diluted the national team call-ups were. The fact that Joel Wiki was called up, I mean, wasn't really that great of a moment for the Mexican national team. But he's playing here with the Lights, and so he does bring some leadership. And I believe he's played in no, I don't think he had played with El Chelis before in the Mexican in Liga MX, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say he did with Puebla at some point.
Was Joel Wiki with Puebla? I don't recall.
At some point.
No, I don't think so.
Or even Veracruz.
No, but you know who you know who he was with him, with El Chelis? Gerardo Lugo. Then all of a sudden he disappeared. He just quit. I was talking to Carson about it a while ago, and I asked him about him, and he's like, yeah, all of a sudden, like, he was gone. So, like I said, going back, the Las Vegas Lights are an interesting team any way you think of it. But Toros have to think just about themselves and show the fans that what happened last night was not a fluke.
Yeah, it was also really funny. I mean, going back to kind of last night's game, how there was only not even a handful. There was about 3 of the Stampede that were there last night, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even 1, but I believe that there were at least 2 to 3. And it was hilarious reading the chat again because, no one was there, and from the Stampede, really. And then we score 3 goals, and it's like, are the Stampede bad luck now? What's going on?
No, I think I was able to see some of that on the chat, but hopefully we're able to, like I said, continue that in league play, because what good is it for us to do good in friendlies when in the league play we just can't seem to get the results. Let me see, is there anything else really I don't think I can really add much on this game against Las Vegas Lights, other than the fact, I mean, we've talked about the dangerous players, talked about their recent form. We talked about what their weakness is, which is in the defense. Honestly, that's pretty much it. Predictions, guys?
Jacob, lead it off.
All right. My prediction, I do see a 1-0 victory for the Toros.
All right. Now, what is your bold prediction?
I guess, my bold prediction would be we see some fireworks going off on the field. I'm not talking about goals this time. I'm talking about it getting a bit rough out there with both teams getting a bit heated, and maybe a couple of yellows and reds thrown here and there for both sides. And then ending up becoming a 4-3 victory for the Toros.
All right. Ray?
All right. 2-1 victory for Toros. Bold prediction is that we get both Jorginho James and Kai Green in the starting 11.
Nice.
But we might be missing Todd Wharton for cup match.
That seems reasonable, actually.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're
The
right.
soccer business can be very unpredictable, and that's what this segment is for, unpredictability.
Yeah, definitely. We'll probably see Jorginho along with Nico Perea. All right, so here's my prediction. Regular prediction, 2-0 RGV. Bold prediction, I get punched in the face by a Chalice, and here comes another 7-game suspension for Chalice.
Just a note, I was talking to someone familiar with the Chalice situation. It doesn't look like he'll be making the trip.
Interesting, because he told me directly, he told me he was going to come. He himself told me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he himself told me on Twitter. He said,
Nice.
I asked him, I sent him a tweet, he's like, hey, we're looking forward to seeing you here in McAllen against my Toros. And he, because I asked him when his suspension ended, because I wanted to see him here in the Valley or against the Toros, and he says, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there up in the stands, but I'll be there. And that's what he responded publicly.
Boy.
Publicly, he responded me that. So maybe
Just look for a bald, shiny head.
yeah, you can't miss him. But okay, my real bold prediction would be Toros wins 4-1, minimum 2 red cards in this match.
Yeah, it's very bold for sure.
But considering the fact how Las Vegas is, it's not that bold. Just the way that they are, the way how hot headed this team can be, and I think so. This is interesting. In the USL fans group that I'm in, I know there was some banter going on because apparently in this match against OKC, the Las Vegas Lights goalkeeper refused to switch sides at halftime, and that feeling was also reflected by the coach, and he's because he was afraid. He was afraid of the other side because behind the goal, that's where they had the Orange County, or not the Orange County, OKC Energy supporters, and he was afraid to being there. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious as well. We all know what their sponsor is as well. Let's be clear. So maybe they something did not wear off in time for the game.
Now you have to take this into consideration. Oklahoma is not 420 friendly, so. But the point still stands, continuing in the fact that they're very, very dysfunctional. You know, the fact that they have they have a marijuana distributor as one of their sponsors. I think that's just hilarious. And let's not talk about that uniform that they have. That's just weird. It'd be funny though. It'd be funny that one for my bold prediction, the goal that they managed to score, them to lift up their shirt to reveal that happy face that's underneath that jersey.
Or even the poop emoji.
Oh my god, that's an idea. Yeah. So okay. So I don't know if y'all seen Las Vegas Lights shirts.
Yeah, they're kids. They're something else.
Yeah, but add to the fact they actually do have printed underneath underneath their shirt, just at the right height. So when they lift their shirt up over their face, you have a big smiley face, like where their face usually is. I'll find a picture and I'll share it on Twitter. I just thought it's hilarious. I'm actually tempted to ask Carson to send me one because they're that eccentric and it'd be interesting to have for my collection.
Yeah, that would be an interesting ad.
All right, so we are 12 minutes away from 9 o'clock, and we're probably going to end straight at 9 o'clock, even though we started a little bit late, more along the lines because I have some things to take care of before I go to bed today for tomorrow's trip down to the Rio Grande Valley.
Nice.
Yeah. So we'll talk.
Party on Edson.
We'll do. But before we do that, we want to go and do some World Cup Express. More along the lines of kind of brief summary of our little thing or little activity. And apparently, it seems to me that right now Sean is 1 point ahead of me. And I think Jacob, I think you're like 1 or 2 points behind me. So technically, we still have an opportunity to be the winners of this little activity, this little bet that we had for the World Cup. But guys, what have you thought so far? Going back to the matches, what have you thought so far of the quarterfinals and semifinals?
I mean, in 3 words for me, absolutely insanely beautiful. I know it sounded pretty weird, but it's so true. It's just, it's insane that Croatia has been able to make it to the finals out of playing all of their games, all of their basically, knockout stage games in extra time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, blows my mind. You have to play against Denmark. You're down in the first 5 minutes, 1-0, and you don't hold your head down. You keep playing till the final whistle and win in penalties on that game. Play against Russia, do the same exact thing, even though technically Russia, that was one of the biggest chokes I've ever seen on penalties, because some of them were just outright horrendous penalty kicks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, to beat England coming back in extra time was absolutely astonishing, too.
Yeah.
And that's just one team.
Yeah. Ray?
Oh my. 2 words. Set pieces. I have never seen such high amount of number of set piece goals that this World Cup have seen. And it just goes to show you that that set pieces are a vital important of the game. You may get one chance, and that one chance may lead you to victory. And that's what I've liked about this World Cup, the set pieces. And my favorite game was the Japan-Belgium. Vicious counterattack by Belgium to kill the game at the death.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. So, if I'm not mistaken, teams like England, most of their goals have been through set pieces. If I'm is that correct?
Yep.
So, it's one of the aspects of this game that I feel have been so underestimated, underrated, or pretty much forgotten by some managers with their teams. The importance of not only attacking set pieces, but defending set pieces. I mean, you're in the 90th minute, and then your opposition has a free kick. And the fact is, there are some teams that just don't practice how to defend free kicks. I mean, just take a look at some teams. I'm trying to think out of the top of my head. Obviously the Toros, we've been having that problem for a
Japan,
while.
how they poorly played their corner, building up to that counterattack.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree. They gave Belgium that opportunity where they were left very vulnerable to the counterattack. And when you got players like Lukaku and and other players on that Belgian team, you cannot give them that much of an opportunity, that much of you cannot make it easier for them to hurt you like that. And that's what it ended up for them getting eliminated. It was kind of sad considering the fact that Japan had the lead against this Belgian team, and it came to a surprise to a lot of people. For others who are more closer to or have more knowledge of the Japanese, how the Japanese play, it really wasn't a surprise to them. It surprised me, but just look at how the fact that until that play, Japan has always been known for being very organized when it comes to defending as well as playing as a team. And it just, in that moment where they were kind of all just thinking of trying to get that goal for the win, they kind of forgot about all that organization and they left themselves vulnerable.
Well, I mean, it's for sure on that part that, it was a shock to see Japan play the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, of course, at the same time, when Sean did bring it up that Japan's a super difficult defensive side, that did make me understand a couple of things. But at the same time, they should have had enough gas to get that into overtime. They did bring everyone forward And yes, all of that did happen, but at the same time, throughout that game, they really did have a chance to bring it into overtime. They just one mental mistake, and that's it.
Yeah, definitely. And then you had in quarterfinals, you had Uruguay with against France, lost 2-0. All I can say from that match was that you really have to see how vital a player like Edson Cavani is to this Uruguayan team. This Uruguay without Cavani look nothing like the Uruguay that beat Portugal 2-1 in the previous round, in the round of 16.
I absolutely agree.
Ray.
And another point alluded to that. You didn't see that scrappy fight without Cavani. I mean, usually if they were down, they would play a little bit of their dirty tactics, which is a lot of like clumsy fouls that weren't even professional enough, and I guess it just lacked a little bit of a fighting spirit for them.
Yeah, it was surprising to not see that garra charrua that they're known for. It's almost that without Cavani, they lost their will to fight, and it's just, I guess you can say sad, but in the end, it just felt like the better team won in this matchup, with France, able to capitalize on mistakes. Jacob?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you talk about the South American tactics in a way, and I mean, look at how Colombia played against England at that time. Just those cheap little things that they did was just unacceptable, and it's not good football. It's you're representing your country. Let's be real, and you can't represent your country well in that sense that you're just going to make up fake news even after the game. I mean, it's sad, but at the same time, I would have liked to see, just a little bit more fight from Uruguay. Yes, if you have to play a little dirty, that's okay, because in the end, it's still soccer. You still need to play dirty to get ahead of a team in a way. And what I mean by dirty is mainly just play more aggressively. And sure enough, they didn't do that. And then, yeah, we still have more games to talk about, but that was basically true.
Yeah, and then Belgium did everybody a favor and eliminated Brazil. They lost 2-1. Neymar, man, he just pretty much took his career, took his reputation, and pretty much mopped the floor with it, with that extremely embarrassing flopping tendency that he's had in this World Cup. It's embarrassing. And then the fact that kids around the world, people around the world, are doing the Neymar challenge, just to make fun of how ridiculous his flopping is. I don't understand why Neymar doesn't take a hard look at himself and say, you know what, this is ridiculous. This has to stop. I need to be more serious. I need to be more professional in the way I play, because he has the talent, but he relies too much on this flopping to get what he wants. And I think people have woken up to the idea that is not acceptable, and hope we see a tendency of less players flopping in order to get any calls called in their favor.
Yeah, it's such a shock because of, but I mean, it was a shock to see this, but then again, he's now officially, he's played a season with Paris Saint-Germain, and I hate to bring that up, but it's true. Over there, if you do watch one of their games, there are a lot more players on that team that do like to flop. I'm not talking about, the good players like Timothy Weah, but there are a couple more players over there that do like to flop. In my opinion, he should have stayed at Barcelona, because over there, at least, he was still pretty humble.
I don't know. I never really liked Neymar since the beginning. I always felt like he was very overrated, and it just makes him less likable now, to the point that with the rumors that he might be going to Real Madrid, being like, I don't want him dressing up in white coming next season. It's a player that would not reflect what Real Madrid is in my opinion. Others may have other opinions, but I feel like he doesn't deserve to be to wear the white shirt. And I think, like I said, it finally caught up to him that Belgium was just a better team than Brazil. And by the time he wanted to get up and play, it was just too late for Brazil to try to tie this match against Belgium, and they are now eliminated. And then you had Russia versus Croatia. Holy cow. That was a match that I literally was like, holy smokes. Like, my reactions, the way I was watching that match, it was like if my favorite team was playing on TV and I was watching them. Like, I couldn't sit down. I was pacing like everywhere on my friend's apartment. I was like covering my mouth, and like, it was because it was that much. It brought that much of passion. Brought that a lot of feelings where you felt connected to the match. You felt connected to the players. You saw a couple of Croatian players, getting injured. Their starting center back being injured in extra time, having to be subbed off when their goalkeeper Subotic had gotten injured, in the end of the second half, and now he couldn't get subbed off because they had to replace their center back in extra time. The fact that it was a surprise that Russia scored first with a beautiful goal by Sherizev.
Man, whatever happened to that player?
Who?
I mean, club-wise, it's like I knew he joined Real Madrid, but it was like he fell off the face of the earth until this World Cup.
He is right now with Villarreal.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's still in La Liga, but he lost that I guess you can say that stardom after he left Real Madrid until this match or this World Cup per se. But I mean, he's done really well. But I think so. My friends like Josh and I were joking around, or like, they have to be doped or something, because you saw them like it's in extra times, and they look like they were still like they still had energy left, and the Croatian players were like trying to summon the last piece of energy that they had to try to get to the ball, try to get the shot, and it was just like, it just made it more amazing, the end result of Croatia defeating once again in penalties to advance to the next round. And I have to feel bad for Fernandez, because Fernandez, that center back, that Russian center back, scores his first goal of his international career with Russia. Scores his first goal to allow Russia to make it onto extra time, and be the one to miss a key penalty in the shootouts. I feel bad for him.
I have to agree.
Jacob?
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, nothing more really to be said, but it happened the way it did.
Yeah. So next match was Sweden versus England. Sweden sadly just wasn't there. England pretty much controlled most of the match. They looked good out there. And then semis, you had France versus Belgium, in which France defeated the Belgium 1-0, and then Croatia defeating England 2-1. Another hard fought battle that went to extra time. The third in a row for Croatia. Made it to the final, and is the country with the second least amount of population to make it to the World Cup final. Number one is Uruguay from the 1930 World Cup. So you left with the final, France and Croatia, which will be played on Sunday at 10 a.m. And then on Saturday at 9 a.m., Belgium versus England. I know you all posted it in the chat, but what are your predictions for these two matches?
Well, we have
Well,
a
I get-
rematch.
oh.
We have a rematch of a group stage match between Belgium and England. And what really catches my attention to this is that both of these teams came out from the same group, knocked out two of the most weaker teams in the tournament in Panama and Tunisia, meeting for a third place game, which in my opinion should have been the championship game. I'm going to go with Belgium to take third place, and I'm going to take France to win it all.
Jacob.
France to win it all, and I think there's still a little bit left in the tank for the English. Yes, I am picking England, to also be different, to maybe have a chance at second, because I know I'm most likely only 1 point behind you, and if I can tie for second, that would be awesome. If not, then just hang on to third, which would be good. But like I said, because I think France has it for sure, so that's why I'm picking France and England.
Mm-hmm. All right. So my prediction is Croatia to win it all. And I'm going to pick England for the third place match.
Wow.
I feel like I have a lot of trust, even though they're going to be super tired. I have a feeling that Croatia is going to find somewhere, like they have in this past couple of matches. They're going to find some energy somewhere, some kind of motivation to take it all the way. Play smart to avoid any mistakes. And I think you're going to see both Luka Modric and Ivan Rakitic shine against France. That's what I see. And I think England is going to have that little, like they say in Spanish, va a tener esa espinita of not being able to make it to the final. And they're going to want to at least bring back home the third place medals back to England. And that's going to be those are going to be my predictions. So having said this, final thoughts, guys?
This has been an extraordinary World Cup. Let's just see what 4 years awaits us during the wintertime as they play in Qatar.
Ugh. That's right. It's going to be in the winter. That is going to be interesting. That's going to be an interesting scheduling, to be honest.
Well, yes, it will be, because also we've got technically in 4 years since it did happen this year as well, was the Winter Olympics. They're going to have to work that out with the Olympic Committee as well. So yeah, Olympic Committee is going to have to work with FIFA to try and schedule things around. That's going to make it pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, the picking Qatar was a horrible idea from the start, but it has already been picked, and I guess just got to make do with what they've got. Hopefully, but I'm not expecting much. Hopefully, they're able to able to make a sound decision that will not affect. The other part that I'm worried about is the fact that in the winter there's really not much of a break in the leagues, so that's going to be affected as well. How is that calendar for each individual league in the world going to change in order to accommodate a Winter World Cup? And is it worth it? That is the biggest question looking towards Qatar 2020. So Blues fan says, so talking about Neymar, he says, but Neymar is out there for one person and one person only, himself. He wants the calls and he doesn't care about what he does to get it. I think he hit it right on the head. I think he's an self-centered egomaniac that's only looking for the success, the personal success. Stud Muffin says the travel is not going to be an issue in Qatar. Yes, Stud Muffin, my main issue, like I said, is how scheduling is going to work and how it's going to affect all the other leagues. So will be interesting to see what happens with that. So anything else you guys want to add before we close off the show?
Nope.
Jacob?
Just to thank really quick Eduardo Perega, SPD Sports, who were partly responsible in bringing in Santos Laguna and give Toros a nice exhibition match.
Yeah, definitely. Big thank you and a huge shout out to them as well. With all that they do for local soccer, especially the guys at Persiguiendo un Sueño, Persi Sports. I know they work really hard with the Hispanic community to cover the any form of soccer that happens not only there in the valley, but also I know the other Eduardo Gonzalez, if I'm not mistaken, is or was in Russia during the World Cup, bringing some coverage for the World Cup as well with Persiguiendo un Sueño. So a huge shout out to them, and I appreciate everything that they do for soccer in the Rio Grande Valley as well. Having said all of that, Jacob, anything else?
No, not really. I mean, looking forward to a great match on Saturday and in Sunday morning as well.
Yeah. Why am I losing my voice? Anyways, yeah, definitely. I think I have to say it's the best World Cup that I've seen, and hopefully it continues. It continues for the next couple of World Cups, and that way we can have a great 2026 World Cup here in the United States. So looking forward to that, and I'm going to save my money to be able to make it to as many games as possible for 2026, if God willing, I'm still alive. But having said all of that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Down in the Valley. I want to give a huge shout out to our friends at the Beautiful Game Network. Be sure to check them out on their social media at the BGNFM on Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to also check out their website at www.bgn.fm, where they host not only our podcast, but their USL podcasts like the USL Show, Unused Substitutes, Speedway Soccer, and other USL-related podcasts. Also check out their sponsor, which is Roughneck Scarves, who is the official scarf supplier of the MLS, USL, and NCAA. You can check out their website at www.roughneckscarves.com. Also check out our website, downintheRGV.com, where we also post our SoundCloud episodes our podcasts on there. You can have a listen. We're trying to get back into writing articles for that website. So stay tuned to any updates that we do make. Also, be sure to check out and subscribe to Down in the Valley Gaming channel. A couple of 30 minutes ago, we just launched our first episode for Down in the Valley Gaming. It was Sean, Andres from the Foxtrot, and as well as Travis Lescombe and myself. We were playing Rocket League last night, and it was pretty fun. So be sure to check out our shenanigans on YouTube. I will be posting the link as soon as the stream ends, so you can take a look. So be sure to subscribe to the Down in the Valley Gaming channel, share it with your friends, and we will be posting a lot more stuff, a lot more games on that channel. And also, more importantly, check out our podcasts on SoundCloud, Google Play Store, iTunes, and Stitcher. Be sure to also subscribe to there and like and share all of our podcasts. It really does help us out in our growth, to trying to reach a new audience, and continue growing and bringing you the coverage that you all deserve for the RGVFC Toros. So next week it will be another Thursday episode, due to the fact that on Wednesday is the Open Cup match between the Houston Dynamo / RGVFC Toros and Sporting Kansas City, and I will be there live at BBVA Compass Stadium, covering this very important match for the Dynamo system in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. So thank you guys once again. We'll see each other next week. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jacob, for joining us tonight. We'll see each other next week. We'll continue to be in contact through the chat tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you all at HEB Park this Saturday for this match. Don't forget, against Las Vegas Lights FC. So go out there, buy some tickets. The cheapest tickets are $5. Go out there and support your Toros. And hashtag We Are Toros, hashtag Forever Orange. And see you next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. at this in this YouTube channel that is Down in the Valley. Take care.
Good night.
All right, good night, guys.
You paint me red in this light that isn't mine, finding every reason you can find to question my love. Remember that it's not me, I was never the one who broke your heart. We both know I've been gentle from the start. So though the questions keep on coming this time, you know